Alright guys, and welcome back to the Saints VD channel for some new content for a brand new video as we look ahead to Saturday's trip to Stamford Bridge as we take on Chelsea after the international break. We've had a handful of players away on international duty for their respective nations. A couple have stayed at Staplewood. It would be the same with Chelsea, and it came at a bad time, that international break, didn't it? Because we were picking up a bit of form, but I expect us to continue that form on Saturday against a very tough opponent, and I'm looking forward to see what we can do. But before we get into it, of course, make sure you've hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 3,000 subscribers, so the sooner we get there, the better. Also, make sure you're following us on our socials as well. And as always, this video is kindly sponsored by the guys over at Pitch Sport. Make sure you are downloading their app for all your football news, results, scores, etc. Right, let's get into it. Firstly, let's talk about Saints. A really good victory against West Brom last time out. Very, very comfortable. In the end, West Brom hardly had a sniff, and to be honest, I think we should have scored more. We were unlucky that Sam Johnstone had a good game in goal for the Baggies on the day, but great to see Gineppo and Romeu score two unusual goal scorers. Quite nice to see other players score as opposed to Ingsy, but it was much needed. You know, that marks back-to-back wins in the league, back-to-back clean sheets for the first time, I think, in over 2 years, which was a big statement, big stat. Tells you a lot about how poor we've been in previous seasons, but it was a great way to sort of put the first 3 games of the season behind us. You know, getting knocked out of the cup against Brentford, being poor against Palace, and being woeful at the back against Spurs. So yeah, for me, I had no complaints about the Burnley win and the West Brom performance. I think with Burnley, it was a case of just grinding out a win, winning ugly, which is something I said in the review we haven't done for ages. And with West Brom, you know, it's just nice being a dominant side and earning your 3 points and knowing from quite an early stage, yeah, you're likely to go on and win this one, which is how I felt. I think even before Gineppo opened the scoring for us, it looked like it was going to be our day. West Brom had nothing about them, and we were looking really, really fluid going forward. So hopefully we can see a bit more of that on Saturday. It will be a tough one, and we'll get on to Chelsea a bit later. But going into this one, Armstrong and Gineppo are both out. Armstrong tested positive for COVID-19 and will be he'll be returning to training on Friday, meaning that fitness levels probably aren't to scratch, according to Ralph. And Gineppo's got another hamstring injury, which apparently he played with against West Brom and scored with. I just don't know what to think with Gineppo now and injuries. It seems that he plays well one game and then next game he's out, or the next couple games he's out. They need to sort it out, because his fitness is a real concern for such a young player and such a player with talent. But that means that Theo Walcott could be making his Saints debut, or his second Saints debut, or whatever you want to call it, after coming in on loan, because yes, that is something we haven't talked about yet. Since our last game, we've signed 2 new players, which was relieving, to be honest with you. We've got midfielder in Ibrahim Diallo, and Theo Walcott came in on loan on deadline day. Gives us more options. Definitely we needed that midfielder. I think for Diallo it's going to be a bit too early, this one. Very, very tough game to throw him into. For Romeu, had 2 good games as well before the international break, and with Diallo, who was away with France under 21s, and I think as this is coming out, he's having his first day of training with the Saints. If not, Friday might be his first day, so I think we might see him on the bench, you know, as a backup to Romeu, just in case Romeu had an injury or maybe a yellow card and looks like he's going to get sent off potentially. But I can't see him starting this one, not that early. Also, another signing that hasn't made his debut yet, Mohamed Salah. Where's he going to be before this one? He wasn't mentioned in Ralph's press conference whether he's ready or not. I don't think he is. I know this was the target in terms of getting him ready for after the October international break. But Yannick Westergard, he's been playing very, very well. I think it's now over 400 hours of football for club and country where he hasn't conceded, which is a massive stat. You know, how much he struggled in his first 2 seasons down here. It looks like he's finally it's clicked for him, which I'm really happy about, forcing Jack Stevens out of the team. So we'll have to see when Salisu gets accepted into the team or gets integrated into the team. I know he's been training, but when he's ready, who knows at this point? But he's going to have a hard job to get into that side, which is a good thing, of course. 4 good centre backs now, which is what we like to see. But let's talk about Chelsea, because I think they had massive expectations for them going into the season, as from outsiders, from fans, you know, spending all that money on big players and big signings. But it just seems like it hasn't clicked just yet for them. I think maybe you could make the argument that Frank Lampard isn't the man to take them forward. Do I think that? No, not necessarily. I think we have to see a bit more, but Chelsea have a lot of talent. They have a lot of individual quality, and it will click for them at some point. And it seems that Hakim Ziyech could be coming back into the Chelsea side for his Chelsea debut in this one, which of course is another name where you just think he's going to be a real handful to deal with. Timo Werner hasn't scored his first Premier League goal yet. It'd be typical Saints for him to get it against us on the weekend. I think Havertz hasn't scored in the Premier League either yet. So there you go. It's just typical for them to start performing as Saints come to Stamford Bridge. But it's a ground that we've had actually quite a few good games at over the last couple of years. Haven't conceded there in the last 2, only conceded 1 in the last 3 in a 1-0 defeat back in 2017. Of course, we won there last season on Boxing Day. What a win that was, what a performance. That was I think that was one of the catalysts for our upturn in form. That was when we started really becoming a much better side and picking up really good results. That saw us climb out of the relegation zone and on towards the top half region, which, you know, was a big thing. But I think it's going to be a much different game this time around this season. I think, like I said, so many good players in that Chelsea team, and when it clicks, you know, we saw against in their last game in the second half against Crystal Palace, you know, how from what was a pretty dire first half, they scored 4 goals in 45 minutes. You know, they can turn it on, and we have to be wary of that. I think we just need to keep ourselves in the game, in all honesty. I think if we're still in the game, it's still 0-0 around 60th minute or 1-1, or we're in it in that sense. Even if we're a goal down, I think that's where we want to be. We don't want the game to be over just like that and be 2-0 down going into half-time, because that's when it's going to be really tricky, and then we could be on the verge of a good beating. But I think if we compete, which I expect us to do, I think if we play our football, play our game, stay confident. You know, we saw in lockdown how many good performances we had. For example, Man United away, you know, we battled, we stayed in it after going 2-1 down. And I think it's going to be a similar performance needed at Stamford Bridge on Saturday. It's the first pay-per-view game on Sky. Will I be watching it? No, I've got other commitments, but for £15, I love Saints, but if I was here, I don't think I'd be paying it either. I think it's all a shambles, but that's for another time to discuss. But going on to a prediction, I don't know. I'm confident for it in the sense that I think we can come away with something. It's got to be a really difficult game, of course it will be, but I don't know. There's something about me that feels like we could get something from this. So I'm going to be confident. I'm going to probably be quite naive, and I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw. Will Walcott score his debut back at Saints? Who knows? But I think we can definitely compete. I don't think we'll get a good beating. I think if we lost, it'd be by the single goal. I think it'd be incredibly difficult to win this one, but I can see us coming away with a point, and I think a point would be a really good result. We're going to have to see how well this team can do against good opposition, because we've got Chelsea this week and then Everton at home the week after. So they're 2 really, really tough games. So yeah, hopefully we can do all right with this one, and hopefully we can come away with something. But thank you for watching the video. If you have enjoyed it, leave it a like. Let me know down below your thoughts on the game. Do you think we're going to get something from it? Are you confident? Or do you just think it's going to be a typical day at the office where we just lose against a Big Six side? Of course, subscribe if you haven't yet already. Follow us on all of our socials. Go check out the Pitch Sport if you haven't yet already. And we'll see you tomorrow for our predicted lineup. Take it easy, guys.